Welcome back once again to the Imaginary Gallery. We're here tonight for more narcissist trash talk. The purpose of this video is to hopefully provide you a pep talk, or at least a realignment of reality for those of you who have actually dealt with such cluster B monsters and are around today, which means you survived it. So that in itself is cause for celebration. But I've got a few more pieces of trash to spread for you that will hopefully dispel any beliefs that you've made a mistake or that you need to get back together with this creature. For those of you who do not know, the Imaginary Gallery has another series called I Am the Narcopath, and it generally tries to speak to you, even though it's silly and goofy sometimes. Its intention is to speak to you in the words that the narcissist or narcopath or monster, whatever, would never really use on you. So it's basically a free view into what they're really thinking and how they really feel about you, and so on. In this particular video, I'm going to strip it down for you anyway, even though that narcopath creature is not here. So it's time to face the facts. The reason you're here watching this video right now is because, more than likely, you have survived narcissistic abuse. You have persevered. You're still around and probably still confused, but I'm here to lay a few things down for you just to put things back into proper perspective. We've all dealt with these creatures before. We've all thought that this situation we were in was just some random thing that just didn't work out, but then later realized it's an epidemic. These people are everywhere and they all follow the same rule book. So I'm here just to get you to think a little bit. If you find yourself missing this creature, oh yes, we've all been there too, rest assured that is a mistake. And I'm about to tell you why. I have compiled a list. First off, one of the pieces of advice I read or heard somewhere, don't know how to quote the source because I forgot who it was, but it said to imagine your own life as the narcissist or the cluster B psychopath, whatever. Imagine just for a day that that is what you are, and take a look at the crap that these people are perpetuating, and look at all the facts. First off, this cluster B creature has, as we've stated before in other videos, has no core self. Like most of us in the real world, like little Johnny grew up playing the flute and he's now playing with the Philharmonic, and he's always loved the flute and that's just been a part of his life. And if you talk to 20 people from his past, they'll be like, oh yeah, he played the flute. Not so with a narcissistic narcopath monster. It'll be, oh, I know him, he was really nice. And then the next person, oh, I know him, he was a witch. And the next person, I know him, he was the devil. And it's like there is no consistency because the narcissist has no core self. Like a core self would be, you visit the little kid's bedroom when he's a kid and he's got pictures of flutes on his wall. And then you visit his bedroom when he's in high school and he's got fancy flutes in his room and pictures of flutes. And then you visit his room when he's in college and he's got a whole collection of flutes. It's like consistent. He likes flutes. The narcissist, please, you go in their place and it's either empty or they change it for each target they're pursuing. Fake. You have to realize this narcissist person that you've left behind you is never, ever going to experience genuine joy, happiness, things that you probably felt before you met the creature and thought you could perpetuate with the creature, but it didn't work out that way. And you may have lost some of that joy, but you have to realize that monster cannot really take your joy away. Your joy is yours. If you find a flute solo thrilling and love it, well, if your narcopath pretended to love it too but really didn't, well, that's his or her problem. If you get something out of that flute solo, well, then it's still there, but it's kind of easy to forget when you've been pulled to the ringer of such sickening abuse. Plus, you have to realize this narcissistic monster you've left behind doesn't have any chance at all for improvement. It's just a fact. There is no improvement. The only thing they can do is try to step their game up with more fancy scams. But the end result's the same. They are a phony who lacks a core self. I've known a few that I'll be with them and I have nothing to do with, let's say, for example, running. I don't jog or run usually. Yet, one particular day we'll run together or jog, and then I'll be told, I hate running and jogging. Well, then I happen to look up the person's Twitter account from a few years ago, and I see postings that say, oh, I'm going to go home from work and I'm going to go run tonight. And I think, what is this? And I click on the friend list, and there's a runner listed. So it's like this person is a total retarded phony. This person doesn't like to run, but their Twitter friend does, so they're going to mirror that and post, I'm going to go run to the fool, retarded. All these people have in their life is a bunch of scams. And you can be happy to know that this monster who temporarily came into your life and tried to destroy it will never have anything permanent. Remember all those times it claimed it wanted to be with you forever? But did you ever think that, well, really, how many forevers have you experienced? And the answer is 0. It's a fantasy that they chase that they'll never have, and there are specific reasons for that, which we'll get into in a moment. But you can rest assured these people are permanently going to be unhappy, because nothing is permanent when you lack a core self. And on top of that, they cannot even identify their own emotions or be in touch with their own feelings, because that stuff was shut off long ago, cut off and shut off, so they don't even know what they're feeling. And it probably drives them crazy to see you, a non-cluster B person, who you say, hey, I'm uncomfortable with this, and you like express it. Well, they cannot do that, and they are likely to attack you for such things. Because, as we've discussed in other videos, this disorder, or these disorders, are all shame-based. And as I've stated before, it doesn't mean they're ashamed of who they are today necessarily on the surface. It means way back when they were kids, they learned to cross over borderlines that were involving evil and wrong behaviors for whatever justification they could have come up with at the time. Underneath all this sickness is some really sick things they have to deal with. Let's just say, for example, imagine if you lived in a world where what you really are is so horrible you have to conceal it from anyone and everyone around you. Your true self that's developed for whatever excuse or reason you want to give, abuse or whatever, it doesn't matter, you never developed into a well-rounded person and have just accepted the fact that you're less than everybody else. So, rather than face that fact, you have decided to pretend. You look around you and see people, and you don't feel any connection with any of them or with anyone, but you also see people as vehicles for things you might want. So what do? You pretend to be like those out there who do have core personalities, who do have core selves. Just keep in mind, your narcissist will never have one. It's just like that part was bypassed in the development, and it's point of no return. You can't go back and get it. It's too late. So these monsters have set themselves up for a life of one scam after another scam after another scam, and trying to pick up these pieces and cover those up and keep that person from seeing this person, and sick, and think, who would want that kind of life? And I think personally too, when I've gotten involved with a few, because I'm a person that has a lot of different interests and a lot of different things, and I like to share with the person I'm hanging out with. Like with music, I'm the type of music listener who is not a passive radio listener who just listens to what's being played. I actually study the band, learn who each member is, what they do in the band, and kind of like feel it like a friend when I hear, oh, there's her voice, oh, there's his voice, oh, there's his drum beat, and it's like a really fulfilling thing. And when I talk to other musicians, they get it too. But to think that I was sharing that kind of level of self-awareness as well as awareness of external music to some cluster B fool who doesn't even know who it is inside, and thinking I could like bring them over to say, hey, look, here's who this is singing, and oh, blah, blah, and realizing now these people didn't get one iota of any of it. They just wanted me for some purpose to fulfill, and to me that's just sick, because I would find so much enjoyment in it, thinking I could share that enjoyment. But when you're dealing with one of these robot monsters, reptilian shapeshifter fools, they are not capable. They just think in their mind, ooh, that's something he really likes. Ooh, that's something he really likes. Ooh, I want this from him. Oh, well, I'm going to act like I like what he likes. Oh, I like that. I like that. And it's phony. They're not really in touch with anything. And the other thing you need to keep in mind with your cluster B who is hopefully no contact and out of the picture, those people, they are so socially unacceptable that they have to exist in a state of constant hiding. They cannot wake up one day and just walk out into the world and say, this is who I am and this is what I feel. No, they have to put on a mask and pretend to be the kind of person that they want their target to fall for, and it's all empty, shallow, fake. Plus, they know that they're a toxic person. They know that they're in this world, and they look around and see regular people who do not walk around with evil agendas daily, and they know that there are nothing like them, and that they themselves are the toxic kind of person that little kids learn about when they're growing up to avoid. Don't take candy from strangers. Don't do this or that. And here they are, that person. So on some level, whether it's conscious or unconscious, they know that they are a piece of utter trash. But they will never say that. They will cover it up with lies and fakery. And they're also hopeless because whatever sick patterns they've developed from childhood and forward, they have learned to push aside any type of responsibility for their circumstances. They are deluding themselves. They are deceiving themselves by being in a constant state of denial and maintaining fictitious facades designed to gain from others. But way down underneath, they do realize that they actually gave up long ago. Most people struggle, they have problems, and then they overcome them. These people are coward, lazy fools who decided, well, and this is a key point of the cluster Bs, is like the one you dated, for example, who tried to mirror your values that may have been strict in certain ways. Well, they aren't anything like you. All they are concerned with is presenting an image that looks like they're like you and believe things like you do. And it is fictitious. Their life is full of beginnings because for each new person they come into contact with, that person doesn't know a thing about them usually, so they are like free to reinvent themselves into whatever they think they need to for whatever purpose they have. But again, phony. And I even told a few of them that I was involved with, I say, so you can realistically mimic somebody else who has interests that have nothing to do with yours, but fit in with them. And you can trick someone who, if they knew exactly what you really were, would run the other way. But you got them to go with you on a date and take their clothes off with you in their bedroom and so on. Well, I'd say that, well, yeah, you tricked them into getting them in that situation, but it's a hollow victory because it's fake. It isn't based on the fact they really like who you are. It's that you manufactured a fictitious persona that happened to gel with theirs, and they didn't know any better and wouldn't think anyone would ever do such a thing, so they're letting you come over. And you get some kind of sick thrill knowing that if this person knew what I was really like, I would never be invited in this front door. But that's what their reality is. It's like a child constantly getting away with things it shouldn't be getting away with and then feeling a thrill from it. Well, honey, that's childhood. We are adults. But you can rest assured and be glad that you're not dealing with that kind of reality. They are, and they always will. Even when they're a geriatric fool, they will still be some kind of fake creature that has no core self. And like I mentioned, the hollow victory. You can compare to, we can use a fictitious example. Let's say I'm somebody who studies really hard on my flute, and I play it day and night and day and night, and I finally go before the judge, and I actually perform my flute solo, and it's perfect, and I win a gigantic trophy. Well, for me, that's going to be a victory. I worked hard, I memorized, I developed my technique, and I performed, and I won. Yes! Well, that's a thing that the narcopath or narcissist will never experience. The closest they'll get to it is see that you had won that award and covet it and wish they had won it, so rather than learn how to play the flute and do the same thing you did, they'll knock you out and steal your little medal and put it on their wall and say, I won this medal. And as I said, that is a hollow victory because it isn't real. But again, they don't care. And this is a very important piece of information that I didn't know before, but I do now. They don't want to necessarily be a righteous person. They don't want to be a moral or honest person. No, 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 no. All they want to do is appear to be any or all of the previously mentioned. And if they can get by with that, well, then they feel just as successful as the kid who studied and practiced his flute solo and finally played for the judge and won. And it's totally different. Remember, the narcissistic personality disorder person only wants to appear to be whatever it is they're trying to portray. They're not going to go the extra mile to actually become it or try to become it. And they're also hopeless because when they consistently repeat the same patterns over and over, they are mentally ill and mentally retarded because they don't ever get the fact that all these relationships they attempt fail because they're a phony. That would never cross their mind. Oh no, their last 10 relationships didn't work because the partner lied. The partner cheated. The partner did whatever. And it's all phony because they will never actually accept the fact that they played a part in the demise of any previous relationships. And then they meet you and they're like, oh, I've had 1,000 relationships, but oh, you're the one forever. And it's like, oh, you are retarded. So the main point to walk away with this evening is to be proud that you're an actual, real human being who is not putting on mask after mask after mask designed to gain this hollow victory and that hollow victory and then go to bed by yourself and morph into another monster the next day. Just be glad that you don't have to live that way and try to forgive yourself for putting too much faith into such a fictitious creature. And remember, it's not all your fault because this creature knew exactly what you might be suspecting and chose to say the right things to steer you away from your suspicions. Because, face it, they've done it all their life. And you just be happy that you escaped from such a empty, sickening, hollow victory fool. And don't go back Because if you do, more of the same and worse will follow.
So what if Hillary Clinton and I are bumping pussy willows? That's none of your business. We have a special connection, and you'll never understand it, so don't even try.
You know what? I long for the day that you can accept people like me for being just as normal as everyone else.
There's nothing wrong with us. I'm a perfect example of pure perfection in health. So I suggest that you